Listening to the breakfast show here on Faith FM. And we're going to have an interview now with Justin Lawman. Justin is going to share with us a little bit about what's going on in the world. But I have to ask this question to you, Justin. Are you a fan of the K-pop Demon Hunter thing? Is that something that got on your Netflix?
I'm a bit old, I think, mate. I've never heard of them.
Dude, trying to explain this to anyone who doesn't have child kids.
They're gonna look at you with a blank face and
I feel like I just crawled out of the woods somewhere, whatever.
Oh, it's hectic.
Yeah, well, apparently it's taking the show by storm, but Lawson and I have some reservations against it, as you would imagine just from listening to the title. Justin, what is happening here? So is it true that Donald Trump said that he was going to agree with the releasing of the Epstein files? What happened here? Why did he change his mind?
Yeah, Don's a bit unpredictable, isn't he? He's fallen out with one of his key supporters, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, she famously made an ad where she's using a 50 caliber sniper rifle to shoot an electric car or something.
What?
She's a bit radical, and because Trump wouldn't release these, she kind of lost her mind, and she's just announced her resignation from the Congress. She won't be standing again at the next election. So Trump is, I think in one sense, he's outmaneuvered his enemies a little here. It will depend on what these files show. But I think the Democrats have probably got more to lose here than Trump does.
Very interesting. Hey, look, I mean, just from a pragmatic perspective here, Justin, I don't know really how these things works, but whoever controls the information also can control what gets released. Is there any chance like that
100%.
what is released doesn't come through some filter first? Kind of like the JFK files as well, that we thought that they're going to be releasing everything, but there's still redacted bits and parts. Is that isn't that something that governments in general do? I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but isn't that within the realm of possibilities?
Oh, you're not accusing, you're stating facts. It'll have the old, what are the Bic pen? No, they're not Bic. What are they? Sharpies. The Sharpie pens will be all over this stuff. So, I think it's a lot of noise. I don't know that too much is going to happen. The tell for me is the Democrats had these in their possession for 4 years, and they didn't use any of it against Trump there. I just think if he puts it out, he hopefully can move on from it. But we may be shocked. Maybe they're going to release it unredacted. I doubt that very much. But
yes, well, we'll definitely have to wait and see. Do we know the timeline for this release? When should we keep an eye out?
Look, I'm not across that because they will be getting them prepared when they're ready, I guess. It's been agreed by both the House and the Senate. Trump has signed the order. Now it's up to the DOJ. Remember, they have videos. No one's talking about the videos. Epstein had all these secret cameras. I doubt that these will ever see the light of day.
Yeah, what a scandal they would be as well.
Wow.
It would destroy a lot of people's faiths. Actually, we were last week, Justin, we were talking about how about 41% of young people between 18 and 35 years old said that they would rather be ruled by AI and robots than by human leaders. And I think that there's a big disillusion going on. People say, look, let's have the robots ruling over us. Like we reached a really low point.
What I hate about this whole thing is this wealthy ruling class is not being held accountable to the law like the average pleb, the average Joe would be held accountable. That, to me, is the biggest issue here. There are two levels of justice.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I think that people got really mad. People are really fed up with that. What about Ukraine? I've heard that, what is the latest on Trump's helping to end the war there? Do we have any developments?
There sure is. He's come out with his plan where they give the Donbass and a lot of territory to Russia, and they actually wind down how many weapons the Ukrainians have. And all this is supposed to happen by Thursday. I think that they have to agree to this, or Trump has warned that he will withdraw military support to Ukraine. Now, we've heard all this before. This is the latest attempt by Trump to try and get these two sides to the table and to stop killing one another. At the same time, Ukraine has reached out to all the Europeans, the Canadians, whoever they can, to say, we're not going to do the American plan. We need your support. So it would not shock me if America walked away here shortly. Mm-hmm. It would not shock me.
Wow. Well, we definitely have to see. And speaking of wars, what's the latest on the wars in Gaza? Between Hamas and Israel, because that has been a little bit absent from the news. But my understanding is that it is far from being peaceful and secure out there. Have you been following any of that?
Yeah, look, I just saw some stuff this morning, actually, how the Israelis and the Hamas and Hezbollah up in the north, they're back into it. Israel says they've been arming and preparing, and so that is Hamas and Hezbollah. So they've assassinated a prominent Hezbollah leader overnight, taking him out in his unit up there in Lebanon. So they're back into it again. Trump sort of thought he waved his magic wand and he's done this great peace deal that never been done in human history. You can't just walk in one meeting and fix this stuff. Mm-hmm. It just runs so deep. And if you show any sign of weakness on either side, they take advantage of it. So,
but in terms of the bodies, because I remember that, Hamas, they gave back all of the surviving hostages, but then the remains of the hostages that died during their captivity, apparently one of them were who they said they were, but others, the Israelis ran the genetic test and they were not the right people. And so in theory, the Hamas did not fulfill the original conditions of the term, which gave Israel the right to not comply with the ceasefire. Do you have any news on what happened with that saga? Did they end up returning all of the original remains, or did Israel just decide to, let's just let that go? Because they need, from their cultural perspective, they need the actual remains so that they can properly conduct a burial for them.
Yep. And the Hamas have claimed the last one was given over. But to me, the bigger issue is Trump claims that they were going to disarm, where they say, no, we've never agreed to disarm. And if they don't disarm, Israel will keep on fighting. So the hostages, as you've said, they've given over bodies that turned out weren't even Israelis, so there's not a resolution there. But they're not planning to disarm. In fact, they're amping that up. So I don't think this is a real peace deal. I don't see it holding.
Wow.
And it's a tough part of the world. Yeah, good luck.
Absolutely. Well, definitely.
One thing that has happened, America and its relationship on the conservative side towards the support of Israel is really waning. And that became really clear when Trump stepped in when he did to do this peace deal. He was very angry with the Israeli Prime Minister. And the left side of politics despises Israel. And if they lose support of the conservative side in the United States, they're in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely. And what about the what is the latest that came with the G20 meeting? Can you tell us what it is and what was the U.S.'s relationship with it?
There are three nations missing. Trump has boycotted it because he says the South Africans are taking farms off white farmers. China's not there and Russia's not there. Russia for
So
obvious
it's the
reasons.
G17 now.
Apparently. So Carolyn Levitt, the press secretary for Trump, said the South African president is mouthing off the other day against Trump, and Trump doesn't like it. Lula down in Brazil did a bit of mouthing off against Trump as well.
Yes.
And they've made all these announcements and pronouncements. Is it really a force? Is it powerful without the US, without China, without Russia? India is like one of the biggest players there, France and the Europeans. I don't think it's they're really pushing hard on the climate change thing as well, where the populist side of politics doesn't care for it. So this is globalists up against populist nationalists, and we'll see who wins. For me, America is the force that we look to in Bible prophecy at the end. So let's see how this plays out. But they really made some strong statements against Trump, quite personal. They wouldn't hand over the gavel at the end to the US official because they said he wasn't prominent enough. They normally have a ceremony because America is the next host for the G20, and South Africa is supposed to hand over the gavel. There was a little sort of childish stuff going on there. So I don't know about the G20's future the way it's looking right now.
Yes, very, very interesting. And then moving a little bit to Australia here, the electronic safety, the e-safety commissioner has been summoned. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in that space?
Well, you know, I want your guys' perspective because you're like very connected. You're like, you know about
We're
K-pop.
tapped in. Yeah.
K-pop, you're tapped in. So, on December 10, 15-year-olds are not allowed on social media. Mm-hmm. This is legal. And all sorts of Snapchat, everything's gone. I reckon there's going to be a massive detox happen in our country. Yes. I don't know. I think it's good that they're not on it.
Yeah.
But man, they're on it today, and just to cut it at that date, this is going to be fascinating. So, Jim Jordan, who it's been pointed out in the past has got a very close connection to Google and some of these big players. Maybe they give him a bit of funding. Just saying. He's written a letter to the e-safety commissioner in Australia requesting that she appear before Congress to answer questions about this. It's voluntary. She doesn't seem interested in coming, but wow, the rest of the world is watching Australia right now on this legislation.
Yeah, what I heard some people look. I have mixed feelings about it. In one hand, I'm celebrating because I think that social media is causing such a great damage to the mental health of our young people, period. But I just wish that parents would have that perception themselves, and then you didn't need governments to kind of force their hands. I don't like when governments have to parent on behalf of parents. That's my thing. I prefer that parents will come to their own accord. But at the same time, from a government perspective, they're probably looking at and saying, look, if we don't do something, we're going to have a lot of trouble in the future going up, and we don't really want it. But what I see also a lot of people complaining is that they're looking at that as a grand conspiracy, because basically what it means that for you to navigate or to access certain data, certain social media, you need to prove your ID. And they're basically saying now browsing the internet is not going to be anonymous anymore. Now the government will know who's doing what and who's searching for what and everything like that. So a lot of people that express that concern about their online identity being monitored and using the excuse of protecting minors to achieve that. So I can see that there is a lot of concerns from both sides. Personally, I think that the longer that teenagers take to start engaging with the online forums, the better. Even me as an adult, I don't like to interact with them at all because I think that it's largely a waste of time. But that's me and my cup of tea.
I know a few of my friends, professional friends, who really shouldn't be on Facebook. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if you have the discipline to know, I'm only going to use Facebook or Instagram just to share the gospel, bring people over, comment and uplift people and so on, like use that as a missionary field, great. But other than that, I find that the other uses of these social platforms is highly questionable.
What I don't like is governments trying to restrict information. Right now, our main source of media is not the traditional avenues.
That's true.
And Faith FM can be on air and all sorts of, we can have alternative views. I don't like that any of those would be restricted. And while this isn't specifically aiming at that, you can see how this could be used to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely something that we have to keep an eye on and see, what kind of results we'll see. So Justin, tell us a little bit about your show. Are you going to come up on Friday, 4:30 p.m.?
Yes, mate. I'm in Melbourne as I'm talking to you now. I'm down here at some fun meetings till Thursday. So Thursday night we'll record our show, and we've been getting enormous amount of responses to the offers we've been making, and we're really, really excited about that. People seem to be hungry for what's going on in the world. So, we'll be on at 4:30, The Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm, 4:30 p.m. on Friday. Justin, thank you so much for talking to us from Melbourne today.